Welcome to the first Pacific Town Hall of 2023. Still haven't gotten used to saying that year yet, but yeah, here we are. It's January 11th, 2023. And I thought I would just kick it off really fast with I did prepare slides for tonight. So let's do that. Whoops, that's very huge. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing for a sec and do that in a different way.
I think that looked okay on this end anyways. I don't think it was too crazy.
It wasn't too
fine
crazy
for me. Yep.
Yeah, I think it was fine.
All right, so I'll go back to that. Oops. I can figure out how to share properly. There we go. All right, so Pacific Town Hall. These are a series of community-led Cardano and Catalyst conversations. They happen every 2 weeks on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today is January 11th, 2023. And just a quick heads up on the agenda. We're going to do an intro, cover the agenda. We'll do any community updates. I thought we'd try something new for this year and just have whoever shows up has an opportunity to update whoever else is here on what they're up to. And then people seem to appreciate the town hall update. So if you didn't attend town hall today, I can go over those slides really fast. And then the main topic for tonight is Pacific Town Hall in 2023. What would you like to see? Where would you like it to go? So those are the agenda items. We have a Discord server where we try and plan Pacific Town Hall things, and the link's right there. So you're welcome to join and get involved. And just to mention, this is part of a group of town halls. I think there's more. This is an old slide, but there's Eastern Town Hall, Africa Town Hall, Latam Town Hall, Europe Town Hall, and now the MENA Town Hall. And I think there's a couple more now. They're growing and popping up all over the world, which is amazing to see. So you have plenty of opportunities to join different communities around the world in different languages. So yeah, definitely check them out if that's something of interest. Just mention Gimbal Labs, Cardano for Climate, Swarm Sessions, and Lido Nations are also communities in the Cardano ecosystem that hold different events throughout the week. These are the details for them, so check them out if you want to check out one. Gimbal Labs is more developer focused. Cardano for Climate is really looking at social environmental impact projects. Swarm Sessions try to gather community in a together in multiple sessions. They have a Saturday Swarm session, but they also host the after town halls at the main town hall. And then Lido Nation has a number of Twitter spaces throughout the week that you can join. So welcome to the first Catalyst Town Hall of 2023. We're going to be talking later about what you would like to see in the Pacific Town Hall. And before we jump into that topic, I thought I would stop here and do, if there were new people here, we do a new person intro to have people introduce themselves, but everybody here is an OG, so we'll skip that and go into community updates. So what are you all up to? Does anybody want to give an update to what's going on and how things are going?
I do have an update. How many minutes do I have?
Start the timer now.
Yeah, a couple of minutes.
All right. Okay. Let me just pull up, if you don't mind, some slides real quick. It's not polished by any means, but I do have something prepared. So humor me a little bit. Thank you. Okay. So first of all, I'm Matthias Sieber. I'm the CEO of Loxe. And hopefully you can see my slides here with something called Planadi, because at Loxe we just love anagrams. And if we had more time, I'll definitely let you figure out what rearranging the letters could mean. For us, it's paladin, right? So Planadi is just a restructuring of the word paladin. And with this, we try to provide organizations with a plan to increase a couple of things, including alignment of team members, but also decentralized decision-making and inclusion at the same time. And I think that within the Cardano ecosystem, there are many interesting organizations that this might be useful for. So because the organizations that we work with, right, to us, they are the heroes who want to create environments where their people, whether that be a company, a more traditional organization, or the different DAOs that have been emerging over the couple of years, no matter the structure, we try to help them empower their people to show up with the best versions of themselves every day and in a sustainable manner. So the way we do that really is that we help with communication, right? Because in our experience and case studies, we have academic research backing us up, and that we identified that there's really one common villain that constantly sabotages even the organizations with the most capable talent, whether that be for-profit corporations or DAOs, right? And that villain is miscommunication, which is a major obstacle in the workplace and really everywhere where humans meet, right? Leading to misunderstandings, conflicts, and reduced productivity. So without spending too much time here, but I think for us, the question really is, okay, well, and we are kind of going against the trend that we might see that when we look at Twitter and we look at news stories every day about cold mass layoffs, right? We think that there are organizations that truly care about their people because those are ultimately the ones that produce the most value. And so our, I guess, philosophical statement that we want to make is that when there's when there's professional help available that can amicably that provides the help to amicably resolve conflicts within an organization, miscommunication issues, right? That people can be and should be productive and happy at the same time. So there's a couple of things how we can support that. Actually, this came out through our proof of concept of mediators.ai last year that we launched on the Cardano mainnet. And that the mediations that we had were mostly actually business disputes. So there were disputes between co-workers, between co-founders, etc. Right? And we figured, okay, this is actually something that we can build a more specialized platform for. Right, so it's mediation within an organization, but then we also discovered that we can help with facilitating certain types of meetings like retrospectives, making sure that all people are heard and that, you know, potential issues come to the surface early on and are properly addressed before they snowball into bigger issues. That also can even potentially we can also help with even things like stand-ups, planning meetings, etc., like that. But that's more like an adjacent topic. And what we hope to get organizations interested in is a long-term cooperation and moving into something that can really be seen as an employee benefit in that we, you know, organizations can offer their employees, the team members, also our mediation services, conflict resolution services in a private manners, so that whether, you know, team members have issues in the family life, landlord-tenant disputes, whatever it is, that those services can also be utilized. And that obviously you know, is a little bit out of the realm here, but I think for organizations that truly care about the people, that might be very attractive. And we had a couple of conversations with organizations that had, for example, offered counseling services for their members, team members in the Ukraine. Those are the kind of organizations that we want to work with because, you know, they obviously care about their people. And so long story short, essentially what we, in a company context, right, what we're essentially trying to do is we help regular companies transition into a trusted employer of choice, right, where their people are empowered to perform at the best every day. And that the vision then really is that the average day feels like, you know, people care about each other and everyone is aligned on the organization's vision and people know how to drive this mission forward, coming back to the decentralization part, and also thrive in its mission. So that's essentially what we are up to, and we are hoping to have very soon more conversations with organizations that are that might think, hey, this sounds interesting to me. How can we be part of this? And that's where we are at. So with
Nice.
that, I give it back.
All right. Thanks for the update, Matthias.
Thank you.
It's nice to see the evolution of what you're doing there at Loxe.
Thank you. Yeah, we kind of moved, not that we moved, but we're really trying to focus this year on making a little bit of a bigger impact. And of course, there's a couple of considerations. Initially, I was very naive and thinking, okay, you know, on a bottom-up approach, you know, focus on the individuals first, and that'll, you know, grow into something larger. If we're talking about business models, then, right, this would be B2C, and we've learned the hard way that it is really energy and otherwise resource intensive to really make it to a point where more people at larger scale use the products and services, because it's not like, hey, yeah, I had a great experience, you know, dealing with my coworker here, or, you know, going through a divorce without, you know, having too many painful like events. It's still not something that is easily taught about, right? Talked about. Like, and we found that we have the hypothesis, which needs to be proven now, that, you know, if you offer that to organizations, and actually the organizations we talk to, it's like, hey, that's great. I would also like to, you know, tell our customers about that, right? So we had conversations like the organization that has people in the Ukraine, among other countries. You know, they have customers like Adidas, the US Department of State, and, you know, bigger clients that we would not be immediately able to serve at, you know, at full capacity. But it already sounds very different initially. So hopefully that'll mean also a little bit greater financial success for us, so we can keep on doing the work. And at the same time, without getting into a full second update, but we had a recently conversation with, because Los Angeles has a new mayor, and she not only shares two alma maters with me, but also she is very much focused on ending homelessness. And that's something that I have worked with before founding Loxe, and there's also opportunity where our company can support with that, both in finding suitable shared housing, because again, it's a matching problem, and also then find or match the right conflict resolution specialists as issues arise, and we know in a that type of living environment, conflicts arise quite regularly, and unfortunately, they are usually so far not addressed in a timely manner, which leads to often escalations that just make the whole experience so bad that sometimes people opt to not live with anyone, but end up on the street again, even though there's housing for them available. So we're in conversations there. So hopefully we can, continue those, I guess, more impactful initiatives for people that find themselves in more vulnerable situations, contrasting that with a corporate situation, for example.
Mhm.
So we're trying to do both.
Nice, amazing. Thanks for the updates. Peter, do you have anything you want to share? What have you been up to?
Yeah, you bet. I got lots going on. Can I share my screen too? I'll just make it easier if I just jump around a bit.
Go for it.
So I'm co-founder of the Landano project, which is a Cardano Catalyst funded project that's tokenizing land rights and then helping for formerly undocumented land right holders, and then helping them to leverage those NFTs for financing products like mortgages and loans. So we're creating the entire platform, Cardano based, using Arweave as the backend storage platform. And so we're just getting ready to do our closeout report for Fund 7. And so we had just before Christmas, we organized essentially a strategy workshop with all of our team members and all the stakeholders and everybody we've interacted with over the last year that have contributed to the project. We brought in Harry Hellier, who did some work with Cardano for Climate. I met him in Switzerland and said, hey, you're the right person for this assignment. So he led us through that process. And yeah, it was actually really quite exciting. So, Landano did get turned down for Fund 10 funding, and that was essentially going to be the money that we needed to finish our development to go launch into production. So then now we're at the point where where do we go next, right? So we've decided that for Landano, the right strategy is to go traditional venture capital route. So to look for traditional VC funding investment in the Landano incorporated company, which is incorporated in the Netherlands. Issuing a token at this time is just way too complex for Landano as far as all the moving parts that you would have to get right. So yeah, we're making really good progress in Ghana. We've again building a really good team on the ground and making really good building good networks and relationships with organizations like the Ghana Geospatial Society and Digital Earth Africa, the actual Lands Commission. There's several think tanks that we're working with there. And so yeah, anyway, the net result is that we're now putting together a pitch deck for Landano to kind of appeal to traditional VCs. I managed to get a spot at the Blockchain Miami conference in 2 weeks. So they've actually put me on as on the main stage as a main speaker once they kind of learned more about Landano and the real FI kind of movement that's happening within Cardano. They wanted that to be more of one of the main messages to the conference, because everybody, of course, is moping around right now in crypto winter and losing faith and confidence, right? So a really interesting narrative. And I was like, well, what's going to turn the corner? What's going to turn the corner is real world utility, none of these little fantasy land kind of things we've been doing in the last little while. So anyway, that's exciting things happening on the Landano side of things. And so yeah, while we're in Switzerland, then we organized the Cardano RealFi Consortium, and that's really off. We have another business meeting on Friday, by the way, and it's a permissionless organization. We're open to anybody. Oh, here it is. So yeah, we organized ourselves in Switzerland at the Cardano Summit, and essentially trying to find a collective and a home for projects that are trying to have real world impact and deal with issues that we feel like are unique to us as RealFi projects. And so we've already established an identity and trust working group. So in RealFi, if you're touching the real world, there is we talk about blockchain being trustless technology, but there is trust required if you're interacting with real world partners. So how do you solve that problem? So that's a problem we all have, in regardless of whether, in our case, tokenizing land rights, other people are tokenizing music rights, other people are tokenizing books, supply chain stuff, other things, right? So, but we all have this shared problem. The other problem that we all share is on-ramping between fiat and crypto and ADA, or our native tokens, and making that easier for our users. And that's a big blocker to getting RealFi adoption. So we have another working group working on that. Yeah, and then we'll have a Twitter space hopefully this month to kind of introduce get our ourselves out there a little bit more. We already have like over 100 people who joined the Discord server. And again, we've been having business meetings every week up to the Christmas break. So that's going quite well. And yeah, our goal is just simply, again, to like solve common problems, like let's pool resources, but it's also a platform to promote Cardano itself as the home for real-fi projects, right? Like we are the, we're the right technology for this job. And we Cardano itself happens to attract builders and founders that want to have that real world impact and are looking to do social impact work. I mean, it's like just listen to what Matthias was talking about, right? Like Matthias is just one of many people like that, like us in the community that want to have social. So again, we're saying Cardano is the place for you to come do that work if you want to. We're the consortium. We're here to co-promote and help each other out. So that's been great. And yeah, that's up and running. And then so I will be on stage then at this major blockchain conference talking about Landano, why I think why I think it's a great idea. And then I'm going to get asked the question, why would you build that on Cardano? The Masari is a fairly well-respected like crypto analytics firm, right? Obviously, there's lots of mistrust around various firms and crypto news, and there's lots of questions around who's actually funding crypto news outlets and so forth. Masari tends to still be fairly well-respected as an independent analyst. So they wrote a pretty decent report on Cardano just after Christmas, December 27th. And so in anticipation of needing a slide with some bullet points on like why we're building Landano or Cardano, I just extracted it and drafted this Medium article. And yeah, I think it's a great use to lots of other Cardano projects that want to cut and paste some rationale for why you're building our Cardano. I think that's a useful resource for people. And I shared that on Twitter and so forth. It's getting some retweets. And then the other, so I'm essentially, I run two Cardano-based projects. The other one is this Oracle project called Workfax. And for that project, we have chosen to go to a token issue as our next way of funding. So that's also a Catalyst funded project that's also now coming to the end of its funding. Together with M Labs, we developed what's called the Cardano Open Oracle Protocol. So that's software and a methodology for actually publishing data on-chain to Cardano and then making it readable to Cardano scripts and Plutus scripts and smart contracts. We are just finishing the peer code review audit for that. We're like a week or two away from signing off on that, and then we'll open source the entire repo. And then other projects that want to do Oracle publishing can use that code. And then Orgfax itself is a much larger project and concept that includes the Cardano Open Oracle Protocol as a piece of its infrastructure. But essentially, yeah, oracles take real world data and they report it on chain. But there's, in my opinion, there's lots of problems with the way that oracles are currently working. And there's just a lot of steps that are missing to make the data more authentic, like to prove that you can prove that it's authentic and that you can audit the information flows and see where the information come from. And then also just like, as the information is getting published, it's actually turning into a valuable archive of data. And so that data should also be repurposed, but it should remain trustworthy and authentic. So that's the whole spiel for Orgfax. And so, sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to go into a description of Orgfax and product. What I wanted to give you an update on is that we decided so we're working on tokenomics right now. As far as judging the business climate, like, it's not the best time to go to an ICO right now, right? You're not going to get the biggest value for your money. So we've decided to do an ISPO. So we are now working with essentially getting an SPO up and running and getting ready to like launch that and promote that. And it's all going to go together with the white paper and the tokenomics. So maybe another month before we're there. And yeah, we're making really good progress on integrating all these technical pieces. So that's pretty exciting. We'll have an incentivized testnet for validator nodes. So to get that up and running, so to encourage people to run an Orgfax validator node. And then iron out the bugs in the testnet. But we also have a separate parallel mainnet network that will publish data to Cardano mainnet, mainly for price feeds, the ones that are fairly simple to architect. And so, yeah, that's quite, again, we're getting that's quite active. We actually, I think maybe of interest to this group is that I ended up contracting a company called legalnodes.com. I can put it in the chat. And they're essentially just like a service firm for Web3 crypto projects that are like, hey, we're going to issue a token, but I hear there's all this scary stuff that could go wrong about where I do it, how I do it, and so forth. So they basically just walk you through that as a consultancy to figure out what's the best place for you to do your token issue and so forth. So I thought, yeah, I've been really happy with them. So they've been kind of like helping us through this whole minefield. And then, so the net result actually will be is that we'll create a what's called a special corporate vehicle in the British Virgin Islands, which is going to be the holder of the tokens. My Canadian company will continue to be the lab that produces the software. And then the actual token issue itself, the original issue, is being done by LCX.com, which is a Liechtenstein-based crypto exchange that did the same for NMaker. So, nmaker.io, the NFT project that's run by Patrick. So that was the first major Cardano project that used their service as well. So yeah, we just had a good meeting this past week with legal nodes and the LCX team together to talk about how all those parts will fit together. So that's lcx.com. So I'm just telling you what I'm using. I'm not endorsing them, but I'm happy with them. But I think it's a problem that a lot of founders have, right? Like it's like, and I think it'll add to the value of our token issue to be able to show that we've done really our due diligence and that this token has long-term stability because we've checked all the boxes and crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's in the process. So yeah, that's my report.
Amazing. Once that's gone through and all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, I'd love if you're willing to share the story of how you did all that, because I'm sure there's a lot of groups here that would be interested in knowing some of the finer details of that.
Yeah, I totally am. I'm just really like weary because, like, again, I don't want to necessarily say I'm endorsing something, right? Or like, again, it's the whole thing of like, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal expert. This is how we've done it. We still don't know if it's right. Like nobody has a crystal ball, right? So, but we've done it the best way possible as far as we can tell. But yeah, no, but I'm happy to tell the story with all those caveats for sure. Yeah, because like I said, and again, that's part of like, what's like whether this town hall or the RealFi consortium, like it's a place to share this kind of knowledge, right? Like as like other founders going through the same steps. So, but yeah, I was just really concerned about just, blindly minting a token and going and winging it, right? So, and that's one reason why we didn't issue a token with Landana. We just it's just such a, we're going to get one chance to get that right? Like if we screw something up along the way with Landana, our biggest asset is reputation and trust. If people no longer trust the platform, then it's game over, right? So we just have to do it the Cardano way, which is like diligent R&D. We were publishing 2 academic papers as well. I forgot to mention. We just put a blog post up about our research in Kenya. So we've done for Landana, we're doing pilots in Ghana and Mozambique, and then we're looking at our next market. We'd like it to be Kenya. So we have a PhD that's working with us that's writing a paper on that right now. We're also submitting a journal article on our findings in Ghana. So again, we're doing it in the like we very much want to treat this as a very diligent, well-studied, well-researched kind of like platform, right? So that, which again, but that's just one more, like many others, Cardano appealed to me because I like, Cardano itself kind of has that inherent approach to it, right? So it attracts people that like working that way, or prefer working that way. So yeah, that's exciting too. But that's us. Sorry, I talked long enough. But Randall doesn't have a mic, so he can't talk anyway.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. And if you and Matthias could share links in chat, I can add those to the YouTube
cool. Yeah,
minutes and I guess I can jump in. Let me share my screen really quick, just since we are discussing what's going on. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Leadership Academy Book Club. We've moved from our simple little Telegram channel to our official Discord. And there's the book club channels here. The previous book clubs around Impact Network, Thinking in Systems, Change by Design, Reinventing Organizations, Building a Second Brain, and Anatomy of Peace are all listed here. And then I was funded to run a DREP book club, and our first book is going to be the white paper, Treasury System for Cryptocurrencies Enabling Better Collaborative Intelligence by IOG. And I'm thinking of combining that with the new Voltaire KIP as well, just to have those to contrast and talk about as DREPs. So that's coming. It's also opened up. So there's a section here where you can add any book that you're reading that you want people to talk about or discuss. So there's been a few books posted here already. I know Matthias added the Blue Ocean Strategy one, which is really cool. And that's now on my list to read. I can't wait to get into that so I can participate in a conversation. And over at Gimbal Labs, they are reading Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown and are holding twice a week book club face-to-face Zoom meetings to discuss the book because there's so much in there. So that's pretty amazing to see as well. But yeah, so if you're interested in books, discussing books, learning and sharing knowledge, this is available. So I thought I would throw that out there.
I love books. I love buying books. I love starting books, and I never finish books. I'm so bad for that. So I'm such a bad reader. It's a bit of ADHD as well, but
yeah, this is a good way to give you a little bit of a push to get through the books. Yeah, I'm the same way, all these. So that's why I started the book clubs, is just to give me a reason to finish a book. So so we can talk about it. Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for the updates. Randall, I know you're not on mic tonight, but if you manage to get back on and want to give an update, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, maybe we can jump straight into the main topic for tonight, which was
Jeremy's a bit. I want to hear what Jeremy's been up to.
Jeremy, what have you been up to? I think he's eating dinner.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Jeremy's eating dinner. Yes, that's my update.
Spot, buddy. No worries, thank you.
All right, so
Sorry,
the big topic for tonight that I wanted to talk about is Pacific Town Hall in 2023. We've been doing it for almost a year now, off and on, and doing it every 2 weeks. So I'd love to hear any feedback or things you would like to see it evolve into. How can we best use this slot, this time, this opportunity to best serve the community? So just want to open it up there for any thoughts, ideas.
I just want to say I really enjoyed this group. Like, it's my favorite online meeting in the community, and I like it because it's it's fairly casual. I like you guys. It's a small group, so we all get a chance to kind of talk, and I don't know. It feels way less formal than the main town hall, right? You kind of feel like you're a little bit more on the spot, like you're on a stage. This feels like just hanging out in Nori's basement. So it's like, so I just want to say I really enjoyed the group. That's all I want to say. Like, I don't necessarily have like any suggestions for changing the format or anything else like that. I liked it. I did like it when the time that the line goes up. Like we had kind of like a book club, like, watch this video, come back and talk about it. To me, that was one of the more valuable sessions, like for myself personally.
Mhm.
So I do like that. I do like that kind of like setup, like as a, but it can't be a whole book, right? Like I think it was actually wasn't that a 3-hour video too? So that was quite long as well. So
yeah,
maybe a blog post would be better or something like that, right? But I like that idea of like coming in with a topic where at least some people have read about it and we can chat about it. Like I did like that. I don't like it when one of us, including myself just now, goes on too long, right? Like, and it's like, okay, hold up, let's just keep the conversation flowing, right? Like, I think there's a couple of times where we had somebody come in and do a presentation and it was like an hour long, right? And it was like I'm like, hey, I can go to all presentations all day long. I come here to kind of hang out and chat, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with people taking 5 minutes to like, I like that too, give an update, but like, I don't like really long presentations. So I don't like that. So, but yeah, like, in a way, it's almost like keeping it kind of undefined and kind of informal like this is almost a good thing in my opinion. So until you start seeing 100 people here every 2 weeks, right? Like I know it becomes harder to do when you get larger groups. I'm curious actually, what's the largest number of, because there was a period of time I just got too busy and it was really hard for me to make the meetings. I think I had something going on Wednesday nights. So like what's the largest meeting we've ever had?
it was probably in the 20s somewhere that we had at one point. And we had a range of people, like we had non-Cardano people coming, and it was just, so we had complete newbies who were just curious about what this is about, to the OGs in the community. And I think, and that was when we were marketing it in 2 different meetup groups. And now we've kind of settled on the Catalyst community meetup, and now just Catalyst people show up. So that's another thing, is do you think it's helpful to have people who know nothing about Cardano showing up? And does that add useful energy to these conversations?
Remind at the times that somebody has like been new and like we can kind of welcome them into the group. Again, it becomes a problem of scale if you got like 10 of those people, right? And then the whole conversation is all newbie conversation. So I think a lot depends on the numbers, but I don't mind. Like I didn't realize this was Catalyst like focused not just like Cardano wide, but I guess that's town hall. The idea was like it's an extension of the Catalyst town hall, I guess, right?
Yeah, but yeah, we don't have to be tied to that. Yeah.
I think you or Jared mentioned it earlier, like that, we did have all the people that showed up for the Cardano Summit in Vancouver, which is like, you have that guest list. It would be great if we could turn that into more, like, if this does become a bit more of a going concern and not just like the core 10 people, right? Like, and then it becomes essentially like a Cardano marketing platform for the Vancouver, West Coast, Pacific, whatever, kind of like, but it'd be, maybe like pulling in like city specific groups is a way to like, if we want to increase numbers, I think we would do, right? Like it would be nice to have more numbers, but so I think there's probably an LA Cardano group, Matthias.
Yes, there is, but they are not very active in a sense. I mean, there was the summit and it was a nice event and there are people, but LA in itself is not a active group in a sense, like a strong regional chapter, even though there's many people that would fall in the region that are in Twitter spaces and they have their own groups, but it's not a regionally focused group, but might be interesting to explore. Yeah.
Sorry, I never heard like of Seattle group or a San Francisco group or anything like that. Do you know, like, do they exist?
There is a Seattle group, and I know that they're kind of active. They met to have pizza a few months ago, and they had kind of a Cardano Summit viewing party. They couldn't get organized enough to actually have a summit. So I think there are a few people there. So we can definitely reach out. And I think Theodore is connected with the Vancouver group, and he's nominally running as the ambassador, the Vancouver Cardano blockchain group. And yeah, he's said he's going to be late at work today, but hope he could show up right about now. So maybe he has some ideas, but I think tapping into Vancouver could be cool. Seattle might be a possibility. Yeah, so we can start marketing if numbers is a thing. Yeah. What do you think about tonight, just having a short section where people can do community updates instead of long hour-long presentations?
I do like that, yeah. But you should just be set a timer or something like that, right? And I'm just saying that for myself because I just go on and I forget how long I've been talking.
Matthias?
But I do like that, and I think I mentioned that to Jeremy before. I'm like, hey, I like that. The times that we've done that, where it's like, hi, I'm Peter, I'm doing this, and this, right? And that's it. And you just move on to the next one. I do like that. And that's part of what you get out of this is like just meeting the people without, feeling the pressure of like it's a business meeting and I got to get, we got to do A, B, and C, right? So
yeah, no, that's valuable feedback.
I'm gonna go have dinner with my family now, guys. So great to see you, and
Okay.
I'll hope to make it again in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thanks,
well,
Peter.
before you go, if you like to give more updates and hear updates, we have the Cardano Builders check-in every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's another.
I didn't know that existed. Okay, cool. Can you send me a link?
Yeah. Sorry. All right. This is a meetup group. We also have, of course, Discord.
Awesome.
Right, gotta run, guys.
All right,
Take
thanks,
care.
Peter.
Thank you.
Enjoy your dinner.
Thanks.
Yeah, for me to echo Peter, I think those are very. I have the same sentiment. When it comes to specific topics, I actually think, depending on what the topic is, right? So, for example, if it's the Voltaire SIP, we probably want to have people that are at least familiar with Cardano and or governance. Actually, I take that back because that's the other thing, right? I think IO, for example, of course, they do a lot of incredible research, right? Sometimes certain very front and center individuals within an organization, unfortunately, ignore some of the research in other areas that have been done. So it would be interesting to see, right? For example, like Adrienne Marie Brown, right? Would be very interesting to see her viewpoints on, you know, anything Voltaire related, right? If she would be willing to participate, or anyone else who does that type of work for communities. I think that would be a very interesting discussion. And I say that with the background that we at Loxe had Catalyst funded proposal to train new mediators within the Cardano community. And the facilitator of the training, Professor Renata Valery, she has done a tremendous, like she's been serving many communities for decades in various capacities. And I was lucky to assist her in some community dialogues that actually had then real change in policies and implementing the policies to make communities safer. So that's very interesting. So originally I wanted to say, depending on the topic, you know, maybe want to market to Catalyst specifically, or to the Cardano community, but then also depending on the topic, we might want to broaden it and get different perspectives. So I think that would be very, very valuable, regardless. Depending on the goal, right? If the goal is, okay, bring them into Cardano and let them join the cult, maybe that's not a good use of anybody's time. But if it's just to openly explore some interesting topics and get some ideas, and if there are some organic networks emerging from that conversation, then that's great. I think it depends on what the goal of all of this should be anyway.
What would you like to see as the goal of Pacific Town Hall?
I would like to learn your goal with this. To me, it's just also what Peter said. Not too much a goal, but actually, yeah, if I have to think about the goal, coming back to something that Tevo put on the mirror board in the Emergent Strategy Book Club, it was about, you know, rekindling or rerouting in community. So for me, this is just, you know, a way to connect with the community, really. And for me, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately in a sense, I was not able to always make it to Pacific Town Hall, even though it's been in my calendar for quite a while. Just sometimes, you know, I like to go work out instead with my wife at that time. So trying to, you know, get that sorted out as well, because, you know, I've been neglecting my health a little bit too much in recent years, and age is catching up. So I have to be mindful of that. But for me, it's, I guess my goal is to grow in and with community. And if I think about when I rate a session on meetup.com, I think one of the criteria what makes this good is like, okay, learn something new, connecting with community, meeting interesting people, feeling included maybe even. I think all of this currently falls into the kind of general bucket of reasons why I continue showing up, because I really enjoy that. But maybe it's a different goal. I'm not sure. What's your goal, Nori?
Yeah. My own personal goal is just to create a space where we can, like you said, practice community some more and get a little bit deeper, get to know each other. I purposely left most of it pretty casual, just so that we can get to know each other as people, and talk about things that matter to us. So yeah, it's that interesting kind of dynamic between like keeping it casual but too casual, because I know that's like Peter mentioned, he really liked the line goes up, the kind of critical look at Web 3.0 kind of session we ran back in the day, where we had homework, watch a video, and then we talked about it. So kind of mixing some of that with more casual stuff might be a good pace to kind of interleave those. And like you said, maybe hopefully learn something new when you come, but also connect with community. And yeah, and tonight I just wanted to bring back a little bit of the community update piece so that people have a chance to talk about what they're up to, and kind of, and not in a big presentation, take up half an hour kind of thing. But just in a quick way so that people know what people are up to. And then if it's super interesting, or we can share through chat links and contacts, and people can take it offline if there's something that really resonates. But yeah, that's kind of my goal, is really just to create that space where that can happen.
Wonderful. I think so far mission accomplished, and now it's just a matter of keeping on doing that, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Amazing. How about you, Jeremy? What are your goals for Pacific Town Hall?
Yeah, I guess my goal, I mean, I guess depends on which hat I'm wearing. If I'm wearing the organizer goal, then of course I'm in agreement with you. I guess I'm finished dinner, so I can turn my video on here. If I think about it just individually, personally, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Sometimes my mic is not okay.
Yep.
If I think about it personally, it's about meeting new people. It's about also learning about what's going on. I like sort of keeping up to date what's happening in different parts of the community. There's just so much happening. It's hard to keep on top of everything. And because there's a bit of a, even though we haven't met in person, many of us, I still feel there's sort of a nascent relationship building. So it's kind of nice to hear what people who I have some contact with are doing. There's a bit of a personal feel to it, rather than just sort of the Cardano community, this nebulous, ethereal thing that's floating out there somewhere. And let's see, what else? I guess it's also a way of, I guess it's related to the second point, but also it helps to keep the excitement kindled of participating in Cardano by hearing about what other people are doing and the activities going on. Yeah, because it's too easy to get distracted or busy with quote unquote real life, or what's, all the other demands that are happening. And yeah, it's just nice to hear from some people what's going on, just to keep me interested and motivated.
So that means in some sense we are failing you, because you mentioned you, on a personal level, you want to meet new people. But
well, I mean, that's my own failing, because I'm one of the organizers, so I need to find ways of encouraging that to happen. I mean, I'm not going to point the finger at anybody. I'm not saying anybody is responsible for that at all. It's just, I guess, in some ways, this is like a social activity as well as it is anything else. So one of the benefits of going to some kind of social event, of course, it's fun to just hang out with friends. Like I sometimes have a board gaming night or play online with some friends or whatever. But it's also nice just to go to a place where there's random, like the Vancouver Summit, for example. There's most people I'd never met before. So that was kind of exciting and interesting. Yeah. Good observation, but I point the finger at myself rather than anyone else.
But that's good. I twigged on that piece too. So going back to when Peter was here, we were talking about maybe for nights where it's more open in general, we can put the meetup info onto the Victoria Cardano blockchain group, which seemed to bring
Right.
in a lot of new people, and then ping other groups around to say, hey, this is what we're doing. And then when it's more Catalyst specific or Fund 10 related, we'll just post it to the Catalyst meetup groups and focus on that.
I'll make a note to myself to spread the word a little bit more that this is happening when it's happening, or just prior to get more people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, as long as there's no, there's no obligation to, like, there's no feeling of obligation they have to. It should be just more, this is something that people are enjoying and they want to include other people, I think that's the, I'm sure that's what you're feeling. I'm sure that's what you're feeling.
Yeah, obligations don't work with me. No,
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, and just like if someone feels pressure to do something, like they might show up once just to satisfy your, whatever it is. But then they usually, at least for myself, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, then I don't want to go again. I feel like I've met my obligation and now, okay, it's done. Now I'm going to go do my own thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. These are all very valuable points of feedback. I really appreciate it. I think, yeah, really the goal is to make this as useful of an hour and a half for everybody who wants to show up. And yeah, and I really appreciated some of especially the reflections on the points that really were valuable to people, or the things that you really enjoy, or the goals when you show up. So I think that can help us kind of shape things and lean a little more towards that. I've started my own personal little start, stop, continue board here where I'm taking notes. And so definitely the stop is we won't do as many 1 hour presentations from one person where you're just sitting there listening to a lecture or a slideshow. And we will continue doing more casual conversations, more shorter updates from more people.
Well, and I think, like you said, like that one time when we did the analysis of that video,
Mhm.
and we commented on it and we gave some feedback. I thought that was interesting too, because I think on occasion, not every week, not every time, but it's
Yeah.
not bad to have a little bit of homework, something
Yeah.
that everyone can focus on. We all know what we're going to talk about. There's some expectation.
Yep.
And it's, there's some structure. It's nice to have the casual atmosphere, and it's nice to have some structure on occasion as well, I think.
Yeah. And
there's Fletcher.
Fletcher's here, and hopefully we're Theodore is supposed to show up anytime now too, but
Oh, cool.
I would, and I have the perfect homeworky kind of thing for one of those sessions coming up.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody's read the network state yet, but
I just ordered it a couple days ago.
all right.
I know which podcast you got that from.
Yeah, but you can do the whole book. There's a website that condenses it to 10,000 words. There's one with 1,000 words. There's one with 100-word
Right.
summary. You can like pick your poison, read it, at least know what the topic is, and then maybe we can discuss it, because some of that is actually really fascinating, and there are clear ties to cryptocurrency, blockchain type stuff to make it work.
Right.
Was it from the Lex Friedman podcast?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that one of the 8-hour interviews?
It was 8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fletcher and I
Like
listened to part of that when we drove up from Portland to Vancouver for the Cardano Summit together.
It's surprisingly good. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything the guy said, but I thought there's some really interesting insights in there.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
He just covers such a wide range of topics. That's amazing. Hey, Fletcher.
Hey,
Welcome,
Fletcher.
dude.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You're looking as shiny as always. Good job.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Right. So Fletcher, to catch you up, we did a quick round of community updates. We had some updates from Matthias. Peter was here earlier and he talked about OrcFax, Landano, and the RealFi Alliance. And then I did a quick update on the Leadership Academy Book Club. I don't know if you have anything you want to update the community on, but we're also talking about Pacific Town Hall and what went well, what keeps you coming, what are things that you think we could stop doing because it annoys you or not as effective or a waste of your time. And we're just trying to figure out, like, how do we iterate in 2023 and make this even better for people who show up.
I don't have any immediate comment, but I'll sit with that for a moment.
Unacceptable.
And with it, fine.
Any updates from you? Cardano wise, what are you up to these days?
I actually took a bit of a break over the holiday. It was difficult at first. Once I got into it, it was easier. I buried my nose in a couple good books, and it was I'm like, oh, I should. Nope, I'm just gonna practice what I preach. I'm gonna sit still. I'm gonna take some stillness. And then that got a little easier day after day. And yeah, that one. Yeah.
I haven't started yet, but it's on my list.
Yep. Chewed through that one. Good way through, almost at least halfway through another one. And yeah, it was good respite, getting back into the swing of things, working on building classes. And actually James was just on a radio show this morning, kind of a tech focused podcast radio. I think it's actually Las Vegas or Nevada radio show, public radio, and made a plug kind of talking about blockchain and education and, people understanding real self-custody and how to evaluate networks and how they actually, when a person goes in and interacts with these things, how are they better or worse off, kind of a thing in terms of the outcomes as a human being. Are we really looking at, is it treating you differently than the legacy system, or is it just rebranded, new names on it? And so how to think deeply. And it intrigued the host, you could tell. Like, oh, and he's like, okay, we gotta shift to another person. We'll see if we can come back to you with some time left over. So that was cool. There's a little bit of, but yeah, things slowed down just a little bit. Yeah, it's starting to pick back up now. Get back into the swing.
What books were you reading?
One of them was the one that Nori put up. Another one is this one called The Dorman Prophecy, written by the same author. So this particular writer, he has a way, he's a bit of a creator, artist in numerous ways. Literary, artist, artwork, poetry, music, philosophy. But he writes in a way that is it's kind of like he even refers to it, but I really like the way he refers to it as a modern day mythology. So it's like the story of being human, but done so in a way with in a way that kind of has now I'm going to mix in some Jungian, like modern archetype, so as you read them and listen to them, I know that was a cool surprise. The bookmarks that are inside, yeah. I love them. I love
the kind of art he produces.
Yeah. So it's very symbolic, abstract symbology and things. He studied under Joseph Campbell, apparently. There's an artist statement on his website. And so the whole time we're reading it, in fact, my spouse was reading it right after me, and there were moments where she's like, oh my God, tell me what happens next. I'm like, no. I can't handle it. I'm like, you'll be fine. It's really good because it stirs up, real human, connects to human experience, whether maybe lived in this life or somehow, maybe it exists in archetype or various other things. So anyway.
Thanks for coming, Randall. Good night.
Yeah. So it was very restorative in that regard. And, activating neurons, I guess I haven't, there's supposedly research out there. I haven't really looked at it to determine its merit, but there's probably some element of truth in it that reading in a book activates more neurons than reading even on like an electronic device or something like that. So it felt good to activate other parts of the brain.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for your feedback. And I know Randall couldn't be on voice today, but he left some stuff in chat. So I'll harvest those as well and go through and do a little write-up. But yeah. I guess this will end the formal part of Pacific Town Hall. And if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.